Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will have a brief overview of all the deployment options that are available on AWS. My name is Ishwarya Sood. I'm working as a software engineer and AWS trainer, and I am 3x AWS certified, AWS certified developer associate, solutions architect associate, and also cloud practitioner. Also, I am an AWS Academy accredited educator. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My profile name is given here, and you can also scan the QR code to quickly view my profile. So let's see what we are going to learn in this session. This is a list of few deployment options that are available on AWS. We will be having a brief overview of each one of them. Okay, we will not be diving deep into all of these deployment options, but just an introduction to each one of them so that you can get an idea. Okay, these are the deployment options available, and once next when you are deploying something to AWS, this will come to your mind. Okay, this deployment option is used for that, this that is used for some other purpose. So the purpose is to just give you a brief overview of all the deployment options like CloudFormation, Elastic Beanstalk, Code Deploy, ECS, EKS, OpsWorks, and also few deployment strategies that are available there. So let's begin with the introduction. First, deploying or I would say designing a deployment solution for your application is a critical part of building a well architected application on AWS. Based on the nature of your application and the underlying services, which can be compute, storage, databases, etc., that it requires, you can use AWS services to create a flexible deployment solution that can be designed to fit the needs of both the application and your organization. So there are few capabilities that must be addressed while deploying on AWS. First of all of them is provision. Here you create the raw infrastructure like EC2, VPC, or managed services infrastructure like Amazon S3 or Amazon RDS, CloudFront, etc., which are required for your application. The next is to configure. Here you customize your infrastructure based on the environment, runtime, security, availability, performance, network, or other application requirements. Then as a deploy. Here you install or update your application components onto infrastructure resources and manage the transition from a previous application version to a new application version. Then scale. Here you proactively or reactively adjust the amount of resources available to your application based on a set of user defined criteria. And then comes a monitor. Here you provide the visibility into the resources that are launched as a part of your application architecture, track the resources usage, deployment success or failure, application health, application logs, configuration, drift, and more. So let's begin with our first deployment option that is available. Very nice one, that is AWS CloudFormation. So it's a service that will enable you to create AWS resources in an orderly and predictable manner. Resources are written in text files using JSON format or YAML format, that is the JavaScript object notation, or yet another markup language, which is a YAML format. You author your resources in either JSON or YAML with any code editor. Check it into a version control system. Then CloudFormation builds the specified services in a safe and repeatable manner. CloudFormation template is deployed into the AWS environment as a stack. You can manage the stacks through the AWS console, CLI, or through the CloudFormation APIs. So what's happening here? As you can see, I just created a template, okay, either in the JSON or YAML. Then I have to store it in a version control system. I can save it locally, or I can store it in S3 bucket. Then I will upload that template in the CloudFormation. The CloudFormation engine will process that template and it will create all the resources that were written in this template. And that set of resources will be known as the CloudFormation stack. So what I did here, I didn't manually create any resources. I just wrote down all the resources that I needed in a template. I saved the template, then I uploaded the template in the CloudFormation, and all the resources were created automatically. And version control and replication are the main highlights of using a template, because this way I can have multiple versions of my infrastructure, because I am using a template to create my infrastructure, like how we have the multiple versions of a file. Other features include, like, it offers a granular control over provisioning and management of low level components, and also the high level components, including from route table subnets going to CloudFront distributions, EC2, etc. Every kind of control you will be having. You just have to specify what you want in the template. Okay, so here's the use case for the CloudFormation. This diagram shows a common use case for CloudFormation. Here, the CloudFormation templates are created to define all the infrastructure components that are necessary to create a simple 3-tier web application. In this example, we are using some Bootstrap scripts that are defined in the CloudFormation to deploy the latest version of our application onto the EC2 instances. However, it is also a common practice to combine additional deployment services with CloudFormation, using CloudFormation only for its infrastructure management and provisioning capabilities. And note that more than one CloudFormation is used to create the infrastructure. As you can see here, this CloudFormation template for creating the data layer, this CloudFormation template for creating the application layer, and this CloudFormation template for creating the presentation layer for our 3-tier web application. Okay, the next is AWS Elastic Beanstalk, but before moving to this, I would want to show you how do you use the CloudFormation on AWS. Okay, so let's go to the AWS console and see how CloudFormation works. Okay, so what I will do, I will use a sample template. You can also get through the documentation. There are a lot of sample templates available to get started with the CloudFormation. So here I'll select the CloudFormation template, which creates an EC2 instance in a security group. Okay, it will just create an EC2 instance and one security group for it. Okay, so I click on View in Designer, and it will redirect me to the CloudFormation Designer that is available in AWS console. So if you want to learn more about CloudFormation, there's a separate video that is there on the same channel where you can learn, you can dive deep into the AWS CloudFormation. There I have explained all of these components as well. Okay, so this is a CloudFormation Designer. Okay, this is what it will be creating: the EC2 instance, the security group, and this is a template which has come automatically. Okay, like what exactly it will be creating. So here what you can do in the designer, you just have to drag a service from this and drop it into the canvas, and your architecture will be getting created here, and the template will be getting updated automatically. Okay, so we just have to upload this template in the CloudFormation, and the resources will be created automatically. So here just validating if the template is fine. Yes, yeah, the template is valid. Now what I have to do, just click on create stack option from here. So here by default it is selected that the template is ready. You can use a sample template, or you can create a template in the designer also, the tool that I just showed you, and you can specify if you want to specify, or you want to mention the S3 URL, or you want to upload a template file from your local storage, and you can also view the template in the designer. Then click on next and enter a stack name. My sample stack, I will give it as a name. Then parameters are the values that will be that you will be specifying at the runtime. Okay, like it is asking for us right now. Then click on next. Okay, you can add the tags, you can specify if any role is required, if any permissions are required, and more settings you can specify, but here I'll be leaving them as default, and I just review. Okay, this is fine, and I click on create stack. So it will start creating the resources for me. It is saying create in progress, and here I will be able to see what are the resources that it is creating. Okay, and here I can check the template that is there from which it is creating the resources, what exactly it is creating, the EC2 instance. Okay, you can see the EC2 instance and the security group it is creating. And in the output section, what we want as the output, the instance ID for the instance that it has created, the AZ in which it has created, the public DNS of that EC2 instance, and the public IP address of that EC2 instance. So we will be able to see all of that in the output section. Okay, once it is like create complete, once the resources are created. So for security group, yes, it has created EC2 instance, it is creating. Once this all is done, we will be able to see the outputs. Yeah, it has come here. So easy, so you can see the sample stack has been created. Okay, so in which AZ it has created US East 1B. Instance ID is this instance ID, the one that it has created. What is the public DNS of this EC2 instance? This is the instance DNS, and this is a public IP. So if I go to EC2 console, okay, and if I want to see, just to confirm that if it has created the EC2, just go to the console here and check all the running instances. So here you go, click on the instances. So here you can see the instance is ready. This was the instance ID. Just to confirm the DNS, yes, this was the DNS that the instance that it has created. So this is how easy is that. You just need a template, define all the resources there, upload it to CloudFormation, and you are good to go. Okay, all the infrastructure resources will be ready within a minute. Okay, and if you want to delete, what you have to do, just click on this delete and delete the stack. All the resources that are there, all of them will be deleted. You won't have to go there individually and delete the resources individually. It will be deleted automatically. You can see the instance has been deleted also. So that was about CloudFormation. Now let's move to the another deployment option that we have got here, that is Elastic Beanstalk. So it's an easy to use service for deploying and scaling web applications and services developed with various technologies such as Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Python, etc. And with Elastic Beanstalk, you can quickly deploy and manage applications in the AWS cloud without having to learn about the infrastructure that runs those applications, because this comes under the category of platform as a service. That means everything regarding the infrastructure, it will be taken care by the service itself. What being a customer I have to handle, I just have to take care of my application code and the data. That's it. And it just provisions and operates the infrastructure, and it just provisions and operates the infrastructure and also manages the application stack for you. Also, it is completely transparent because you will be able to see whatever it is creating. Although it is creating everything automatically, but you will be able to see, okay, this is the EC2 that it has created. This is a load balancer that it has created. Okay, everything will be transparently available on your AWS account. And also, it's impossible to outgrow because it automatically scales your application up and down. Whatever is the need of resources, it will be getting them for you. And it reduces the management complexity without restricting the choice or control. You simply upload your application and Elastic Beanstalk automatically handles the details of capacity provisioning, load balancing, scaling, and application health monitoring. So basically, the goal of Elastic Beanstalk is to help developers deploy and maintain scalable web applications and services in the cloud without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. It configures each EC2 instance in your environment with the components that are necessary to run the applications for the selected platform. You don't have to worry about logging into EC2 instances to install and configure your application stack. And here is one use case of the Elastic Beanstalk. You can see all the application infrastructure that you can see here, security groups, IAM rules, any kind of alarms, they are created and managed by Elastic Beanstalk. Instances will be automatically provisioned with runtime environment and any kind of deployment packages that they need, and the environments can integrate with resources that are created outside of the Beanstalk, such as Amazon RDS. So let's see how this also works on AWS console. How do we set up Elastic Beanstalk? So let's go to AWS console and see how do we set up Elastic Beanstalk. So here I go to Elastic Beanstalk, and what I have to do, just create an environment. Okay, click on create new environment. So there are two types of environment. We can either go for web server environment for the simple applications, or worker environment if there are any kind of long running task we want to dedicate an environment for that. So here we can go for web server environment itself and select. So give a name to your application. Let me give it the name as sample app. Okay, and going ahead, environment information, this will be filled automatically based on what I have given to my application. Then domain also, I can say sample app, is that available. Okay, if that's available, I will get this domain. Okay, it's not available, I leave it as default, whatever it generates automatically, I will use that itself. Then for the platform, you just have to select a programming language. Let's say I choose Python, and here I go. Here you can upload your own code. You just have to upload a zip file, okay, from your local system, or from S3 you can refer, or you can go ahead with the demo for the sample application itself. Okay, so here I am not uploading any code from my side. I am just using the sample application, whatever comes, just to show you that this is a way that you can set up. Okay, then click on create environment, and here it will take around 5 minutes to set up the entire environment. Okay, the application is there, environment is there, and it will take around 5 minutes here to complete the environment setup. And once it is set up, I'll be able to see my application hosted very quickly on the EC2 instance. Okay, the EC2 instance will be ready, the application will be ready, I'll be able to access that, I'll be able to see everything that it has created. Okay, just click on this, you go to configuration, it is still configuring the resources. Okay, what it is creating, the instances that are there, what is the capacity, what is the load balancer, and any kind of deployment and security. The key pair will be there, monitoring if it is creating any alarms, everything will be available here. Okay, so the environment is getting ready, it is in the pending state. I click on this, and once it is ready, I'll be able to access my application. So let's wait for 2-3 more minutes and it will be ready. So here it is, after waiting for like 3 to 4 minutes more, the environment is ready and its health is okay. Okay, everything is fine, and if I now click on go to environment, you can see the environment is ready. So this was just a demo application. You can have your own code, you can have your own application customized as per your requirement, but this is the way that you will be able to deploy your application using the Beanstalk. What I did here, nothing, I just configured the environment. Okay, I need to have the application code with me, upload it, and the entire infrastructure will be created for you like this. Okay, based on what your application needs, it will be created by the Elastic Beanstalk, and you can manage everything from this environment itself. Okay, from this single place, everything can be managed here. Okay, so let's move to the next service now. So before we move to the next deployment option, let me tell you about the CI/CD pipeline. So in the CI/CD pipeline, I'll not be diving deep into it. Okay, but just to tell you one service. So in the deploy stage, we use AWS code deploy. I here assume that you understand the CI/CD pipeline. If not, you can watch the another video which is named as AWS development tools on the same channel, in which it is explained in detail all the stages and all the services. So here we are just going to talk about AWS code deploy. Okay, so let's move to the code deploy now. This is a deployment service that automates the application deployments to compute services such as EC2, ECS, Lambda, and even on-premises. It can be used like we can use a code deploy to automate the deployments of an application and remove error-prone manual operations from the deployment process. And it can be used with a wide variety of application content, including code, serverless functions, configuration files, and more. It is intended intended to be used as a building block service that is focused on helping application developers deploy and update the software that is running on existing infrastructure. It is not an end-to-end application management solution and is intended to be used in conjunction with other AWS deployment services such as AWS CodeStar, AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Developer Tools, and other third-party services. So let's see a small use case of where we are using the code deploy. The following diagram, you can see it illustrates a general use case for AWS code deploy as a part of the complete CI/CD solution. So in this example, code deploy is used in conjunction with additional AWS developer tools, namely AWS Code Pipeline, which is automating the CI/CD pipeline, AWS Code Build, which is a build and which is used for building and testing the application components, and then AWS Code Commit, which is a source code repository just like GitHub to deploy an application onto a group of EC2 instances. So for this, I'll show you a quick demo. I will not set up the CI/CD pipeline from the scratch. I'll just show you that how it is working. I already have a CI/CD pipeline set up on my AWS account. I will make a change to the code in the source stage, that is the code commit. Then it will the pipeline will catch the code from the code commit, and the code deploy will deploy that changes to the application that is hosted on the EC2 instance. Okay, so I'll just make a change here. The pipeline catches the change, the code deploy takes that change and deploy it to the EC2 instance. Let me show you it on the AWS console. So here we just need to go to the code pipeline, and let me show you. I have created a CI/CD pipeline which contains two stages, the source stage and the deploy stage. Okay, if I show you this pipeline, so there's a source stage and the deploy stage. So for the source, my code is included in the code commit. I am using the code commit for this storing the code. I go to index.html. Before that, let me show you what it currently is showing. So here I'll go to the code deploy and will show you which instance it is using and what is deployed right now. Okay, so go to the deployment groups and what is the instance that it is using. Okay, it is just showing the tags of that EC2 instance. Let me go to the EC2 console itself to show you the instance that is being used for the pipeline. Okay, so this one I am using EC2 for my pipeline, and if I open this, what it says, so it currently says I'm releasing a change. This is a updated version. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll upload, I'll just make few changes into the source code of this application, and let's see what happens. This is the source code of this application. If I go to edit and I change the content here, new change released, I'll write it here at what's the time, 3:02 p.m. Okay, and this is a updated version, and let it be same itself, and I'll add the author name and the email address. Okay, then I click on commit changes, then I go to the pipeline. So soon it will be in progress state. Okay, if we just refresh, let's see. Because I made a change, you can see the source is in progress state. Okay, because it is fetching the new code from the code commit. Okay, it automatically fetched the code. Okay, the code has been fetched, it is succeeded, the source stage is succeeded. Now the deploy stage is in progress. That means it is deploying the changes to the EC2 instance that we are using. So once it is also succeeded, I'll be able to see the changes here. Okay, so let's wait for the deploy stage to be succeeded. You can see the deploy stage is also succeeded, both of them are succeeded. So if I update there, you can see new change released at 3:02 p.m. This is what I made the change in the source stage. Okay, I do not have to follow the long process of making the changes and deploying to the production. No, I just made a change in my source and it was automatically deployed to the production system. Okay, so this was just a demo. This you can use, this will be very useful in the production cases, okay, to implement a CI/CD pipeline, okay, because you will be just making the changes into the source and they will be getting deployed to the production system automatically. So this is how code deploy is working in the CI/CD pipeline. Now let's move to the next service that we have here is ECS. So before learning Elastic Container Service, I hope you understand a little bit about the containers, the Docker and the container orchestration. Then it will be easy for you to understand what is ECS. So it's a fully managed container management and orchestration service that supports Docker containers and allows you to easily run the applications on a managed cluster. It eliminates the need to install, operate and scale container management infrastructure and simplifies the creation of environments with familiar AWS core features like security groups, ELB, the load balancers, and AWS IAM. When running the applications on Amazon ECS, you choose to provide the underlying compute power for your containers with Amazon EC2 instances or with AWS Fargate, which is a serverless compute engine for your containers. In either case, Amazon ECS automatically places and scales your containers onto your cluster according to the configurations that are defined by the user. Although Amazon ECS doesn't create infrastructure components such as load balancers or IAM roles on your behalf, the ECS service provides a number of APIs to simplify the creation and use of these resources in an ECS cluster that you are creating. Also, it allows developers to have direct, fine-grained access control over all the infrastructure components, allowing for the creation of custom application architectures. Additionally, ECS supports different deployment strategies to update your application container images, about which we will be learning in the upcoming slides. The few deployment strategies that are available. So let's see the use case of ECS. The following diagram shows how ECS is being used to manage a simple containerized application. In this example, you can see the infrastructure components are created outside of Amazon ECS, and Amazon ECS is used to manage the deployment and operation of application containers on the cluster. Next we have is Elastic Kubernetes Service. So it is quite similar to ECS. It is also a fully managed certified Kubernetes conformant service that simplifies the process of building, securing, operating and maintaining Kubernetes clusters on AWS. Okay, this is the main difference. If you are having your application, the containerized application which is managed through Kubernetes, and you want to run those clusters on AWS, you can go for this service EKS. It integrates with core AWS services such as CloudWatch, autoscaling groups, and IAM to provide a seamless experience for monitoring, scaling, and load balancing your containerized applications. And EKS provides a scalable, highly available control plane for Kubernetes workloads. When running applications on EKS, similarly as you do with Amazon ECS, you can choose to provide the underlying compute power for your containers with EC2 instances or with AWS Fargate, which is a serverless compute. Okay, then EKS also allows you to leverage open source Kubernetes tools and plugins, and can be a good choice for organizations migrating to the AWS with existing Kubernetes environments. Okay, and here comes the another service, the OpsWorks. Okay, so this is another configuration management service that enables customers to construct, manage and operate a wide variety of application architectures, from simple web applications to highly complex custom applications. Organizations deploying applications with OpsWorks use the automation platform Chef or Puppet to manage key operational activities like server provisioning, software configurations, package installations, database setups, scaling, and also the code deployments. It's a complete, flexible, automated solution that works with existing and popular tools while allowing full control, and there are 3 ways of using OpsWorks. Out of which, first is AWS OpsWorks for Chef Automate. With AWS OpsWorks for Chef or Chef Automate and OpsWorks for Puppet Enterprise, AWS creates a fully managed instance of Chef or Puppet running on Amazon EC2. This instance manages the configuration, deployment, or monitoring of nodes in your environment that are registered to the instance. And when using OpsWorks with Chef Automate or Puppet on Enterprise, additional services, for example, CloudFormation, may need to use to create and manage the infrastructure components that are not supported by OpsWorks. Okay, and the third way that we have is OpsWorks Stacks. So they provide a simple and flexible way to create and manage the application infrastructure. When working with the OpsWorks stacks, you model your application as a stack, okay, containing different layers, like how we saw in the AWS CloudFormation. A layer contains infrastructure components that are necessary to support a particular application function, such as load balancers, databases, or application servers. OpsWorks Stacks does not require the creation of a Chef server, but uses Chef recipes for each layer to handle the tasks such as installing packages on instances, deploying the applications, and managing other resource configurations. And OpsWorks Stacks will create and provision infrastructure on your behalf, but doesn't support all the AWS services. So let me show you a use case for each one of them. Here is the use case for OpsWorks Stacks. This is a typical use case for OpsWorks Stacks, as it is used to create and manage a 3-tier web application. It is divided into 3 layers which are representing 3 different parts of the application layer, presentation layer, and the data layer. Chef recipes are used to define the layer configurations for each layer, and some resources need to be created outside OpsWorks and added to the layer, for example RDS. Okay, and next is the use case for Chef or Puppet Enterprise. This example shows a typical use case for AWS OpsWorks for Chef Automate or Puppet Enterprise, as it is used to manage the compute instances of a web application. You can see we are using the Chef or Puppet configurations here in managing the configurations. So this was about all the deployment tools that we have. Now I'll be telling you 3 deployment strategies that we have. So implementing the right deployment processes is a critical part of a complete, well-functioning deployment solution. The deployment processes that you choose to update your application can depend on your desired balance of control, speed, cost, risk tolerance, etc. Each AWS deployment service supports a number of deployment strategies, out of which the most common ones I'll be telling you here. First is a blue-green deployment strategy. It's a kind of strategy in which you create 2 separate but identical environments. One environment, the blue, is running the current application version, and one environment, green, is running the new application version in which you have deployed the changes. Using a blue-green deployment strategy increases the application availability and reduces the deployment risk by simplifying the rollback process if a deployment fails. Once testing has been completed on the green environment, live application traffic is directed to the green environment and the blue environment is deprecated. Okay, I hope you have understood this. Blue one is running the current application version, green is running the environment with the changes. Okay, so once this has been tested, like a small chunk of traffic will be redirected to the green service, and once the testing is done, the entire traffic will be shifted to the green service and it will become the new blue service, and the old blue service will be deprecated, it will be deleted. Then the current one will become the blue one, okay, which is right now the green service. A number of AWS deployment services support this blue-green deployment, including Elastic Beanstalk, OpsWorks, CloudFormation, CodeDeploy, and Amazon ECS. So apart from this, we have 2 more that we will be discussing here. First is a The second one, in fact, it is a in-place deployment. An in-place deployment is a deployment strategy that updates the application version without replacing any infrastructure components. In an in-place deployment, the previous version of the application on each compute service, each compute resource is stopped, the latest application is installed, and the new version of the application is started and validated. Okay, let's say I have an EC2 instance and I have hosted an application on that EC2 instance, and currently I want to deploy the changes. So what I will do, I will stop that EC2 instance. I will install the new application version on that EC2 instance, and once the new version is installed, I'll then get it back to handle the production traffic, and I don't know whether it was working fine or not. I just deployed it on the main EC2 instance itself. It is in place. I didn't create any new infrastructure, new instance, no, nothing. It was deployed on the same EC2 instance. So here the creation of new infrastructure is not required, and there will be minimal disturbance to the underlying infrastructure and minimal infrastructure costs and management overhead associated with creating new resources. Okay, because here we are not creating any new infrastructure, so there will be only minimal disturbance to the underlying infrastructure that is already existing. Next is the rolling deployments. So it's a deployment strategy that slowly replaces the previous versions of an application with the new versions of an application by completely replacing the infrastructure on which the application is running. For example, in a rolling deployment in ECS, containers running previous version of the application will be replaced one by one with the containers that are running the new application. So how it works, let's say I have 3 EC2 instances which are currently running the previous version of my application. So what will happen, I will launch a new EC2 instance, that is the 4th one. I will deploy the new application version on the 4th instance, and once it is working fine, what I will do, I will replace the first EC2 instance with the new one. Okay, now again, how many instances will be running? First one I have deleted because on the 4th one my new application version is running fine. So currently I have 2, 3 and 4th number of EC2 instance. Obviously the 3 instances are again running, out of which one is running the new version and other 2 are running the previous version. So slowly I'll be doing the same thing to my pending EC2 instances also, that is number 2 and number 3. To them also I'll be replacing them with the new instance that I will create with the updated application. Okay, so this is about the rolling deployments. Here we create the new infrastructure because on those infrastructure we are installing the new versions. That's why new infrastructure will be required, and once they are fine, the previous one will be deleted and replaced. Okay, so this is about deployment options and the deployment strategies that we have on AWS. I hope you have understood and got an idea of all of them. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.